Pixie doing another video. Right, I was just thinking, so I was doing some research on the coronavirus, and they say viruses are dead, so they're like dead things. And in the tree of life, they don't have a kingdom because they're just these things that are dead in the corner. But what does that actually mean? So it's a classification, and because they are not able to reproduce themselves, they're considered dead for that reason. But that just means they're kind of very parasitic by nature. But they could also be the tip of something else. So like with animals, you've got ones that produce poisons and toxins. It could be that there's something to produce some a genetic kind of weapon. A bioweapon is that you can insert its DNA into a life form. So what would this life form be? Is this life form alien in origin? It could even be from something like the Kuiper Belt, or something whereby the planet's been completely wrecked and the conditions might be inhospitable, and so a life form may have to undergo changes in order to exist, and has developed this kind of predatorial nature where it tries to insert its DNA into something. It's almost like the it's like the sperm basically of the being. Sperm and egg. It's just trying to impregnate humans with its genes, or whatever the life form is. I mean, there's other theories as well. There's theories about how things evolved in the first place, and that organisms, as gases changed in the planet, and the temperature, climate changed, the planet became toxic to these life forms, and so that's why things like bacteria and viruses don't like high oxygen environments. But we thrive to develop in there into a high oxygen type environment, and it causes oxidative stress. There's for some reason why we've got iron blood or something. Is a part of that reason. It's a template for us to exist on. Same with plants when they developed photosynthesis. They gained it from another bacteria, I believe. And so you know, that's one element. Is that it's just that they've evolved to survive alongside us, and why we've become more complicated organisms. So we've tried to get out of our environment. So we've created a being that's able to transition and find food and move to food. And then you've got things like plants who are high risk for predators, developed chemical ways to influence the environment. Like they have an ability to regenerate really quickly, and you know, some plants you can eat all the leaves and everything else, but the stem will be fine and it'll just regrow. Things like grass and so on. Or they can manipulate beings chemically. You know, if you eat too much of one plant, it become quite toxic, or it change the way the animal or being behaves. Could be that the mixture, the actual seed tastes terrible, but the fruit tastes nice. So using that to get the predator to transfer the plant or being somewhere else. There's lots of different tactics, but what a virus tactics might be something somewhat different. You know, what's the long-term game for a virus? And if it was a tip of something else, let's say that there's a host, and this thing's shedding this kind of like DNA in the form of virus, and the idea is that it infects new hosts so that they become more susceptible to this other being. And where could this being be? I mean, it could be something from in space, it could be this is how it invades another world, it starts off by putting viruses with its DNA in, and then it starts turning up in person. Or we now don't actually have a complete family tree for the viruses, and it's actually something within the world. There's more bacteria and things underground, as I mentioned, is because of the environment isn't favourable for the life form, so it doesn't exist in there. So it's not going to exist in a high oxygen environment, but it might exist at the bottom of the ocean, or it may be that there's certain sub-layers of the Earth. It could even be closer to the core, or wherever, you know, whatever's in there. It could be the inner Earth. Who knows? You know, there's all these different possibilities. I mean, it could be like the mushroom kingdom underground. Imagine giant mushrooms that are glowing, effervescent, and they're glowing away down there. So different life forms would have adapted to live in different environments. I mean, there's like Michigan. There's a giant mycelium construct, and I think it's probably a big truffle underground, because at one point it was said when it was more wetter the environment and hotter and more humid, possibly the sun was blocked out and there's more infrared type spectrum, that giant mushrooms existed on the planet. But then when they died away and basically plants started moving in, so it's just another course of evolution. It's a bit like our legacy might be technology integrated with our biology, and we'll create something. Basically we've turned our life form into a mineral. We've added a type of mineral element, a mineral life form. We can replicate our DNA into like a liquid metal type being or something. Or even if you think of nanobots, is that they could be the viruses of the human. Something could be affected by a nanobot that's starting to access information in his brain and then upload it into a server or something. Or even that program the life form to do the bidding of some machine. It's you know, it's all potentiality of what could happen. I mean, these are life forms we know about. So, like I say, the virus it's probably a tip of the bigger kingdom that we haven't even touched. But anyway, let's move on to sort of the coronaviruses. And anyway, have a great day and speak to you soon. Bye.